Okay, welcome to the webinar today. I just wanted to say hi. My name is Craig McBreen. I run a firm called McBreen Marketing, and local SEO is a really big deal to me because I primarily work with small to medium-sized clients, and they really need to build up a local presence. So that's what we'll be talking about today. And I probably won't be available to answer any text during the chat during the meeting, but after the meeting, I'll try to take a few minutes to answer any questions. And then throughout the meeting, I'm going to be providing a bunch of different resources, a workbook, and then also some online resources. So the goal of this is so you can, we can go through the presentation, and then afterwards you can work through all of this stuff at your own pace. So grab a drink of your choice, sit back, relax, and get ready to learn. So what I'm going to do is, based on the way Zoom is currently set up, some people might enter the waiting room, so I'll probably have to admit another person or two as we go. So if I do pause, that is why. So I just want to go ahead and get going here. And let's stop my video and start the presentation. So now I get excited about marketing, local marketing and local SEO. Hey, I know that makes me sound kind of lame and kind of boring, but I can't help it. It's something I'm really involved in. I run a marketing company and I primarily work with small local businesses. And before we start this, full disclosure, I am not, I repeat, not an SEO expert. There are SEO wonks, and that's kind of all they do. And I'm a marketing consultant who uses the basics of local SEO to help small businesses thrive locally. But in most cases, here's the thing, in most cases, these basics are the things that your competitors are not doing. And if you do even some of the things we're talking through today, you're going to be a step ahead of most of them. So again, I'll have time for some questions at the end, and you also have my email if all those questions aren't answered. And again, I'll be sending resources to you, and I'll be talking about them during the presentation. So search engine optimization has really risen from a mere tactic to a fully fledged marketing channel, kind of like PR or advertising. And getting businesses to rank locally, when it comes to getting your business to rank locally, many don't realize the power of local SEO. And we'll be talking through details are the key components of getting your local SEO program off the ground. And even if you don't serve local customers, you can still use elements. So even if you're trying to rank for the entire World Wide Web, you can still use a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today. So let's get into it. And just to let you know, here are the pages that I'm talking about. Now, again, I'll send this to you, but there's a resource page on my website. So if you go to mcbreenmarketing.com/guide local SEO, you will get this page, which is basically a hub page or an index page that walks through everything we'll be talking about today. And then I'm also including a blog post that talks through everything in detail. So 6 steps to improve your local SEO. Both of these will walk you through step by step, so you can go through all this at your own pace. So before we get started, just to give you a crash course on search engines. Search engines, basically perform 3 primary functions. They crawl the internet to discover available content. They build an index of that content. And then based on searches, the content is ranked using a set of super secret parameters defined as a search engine algorithm. The paths the crawlers take is basically an expressway of clickable links from site to site to site. And we might as well call this geo or Google optimization, because Big G runs the show. Big G is the freeway, with your content the destination. And another thing I want to run through really quickly is the difference between paid search and organic search. So most of you probably know this, but if you type in any search, here I use decking contractors. I thought that was a good example. At the top, you'll normally see ads. This is how Google makes the lion's share of their money. They make most of their money through Google ads. And below that, you're going to see maps, like this little thing we call the local pack or the map pack. And then below that, you're going to see traditional organic results. So what we're talking about today is this stuff on the right. These three businesses right here, how they rank here in this map pack, and then the businesses below, how they rank organically. And that is what we're talking about, how to get your business to rank organically. So how do you implement SEO? Well, before we get into that, I want to talk about two specific types of SEO we'll be talking through today. Number one is on-page SEO. So this is basically everything that you do on your website. It's the website coding. It's everything kind of under the hood. It's website copy. Now, copy, and this is something I'll keep hitting on, is probably one of the most important things you can do. That is ongoing content to improve your SEO. And I'll talk through some strategies that you can incorporate. And then, of course, it's how your site is structured. It's the links that link to internal pages on your site. It's how many pages you have. It's a variety of different things that have everything to do with page structure. Now, off-page SEO, this is the other type of SEO. This is basically everything that you do beyond your site to get your site to rank. It's getting other people to link to your site. That's called a backlink. Social media marketing. Hey, good old-fashioned way to do it. Getting listed on local directories. Angie's List, Yellow Pages, Super Pages. These are all local directories we'll talk through. And online reviews, probably the best thing you can do right now as far as building your brand, creating that trust online, and also SEO. It actually is a ranking factor, especially with local SEO. So the more reviews you get, especially on a platform like Google My Business, the better off you'll be. And then Google My Business is something we'll talk through. So what is local SEO? Well, it's really simply increasing your search engine visibility so your business ranks better for a local audience. And every year, well, it's more like month by month, Google is changing things up. So searches are, got to admit somebody else here, searches are more localized. They just get more localized year by year. And local SEO is getting more important every year because of this, because it's becoming more competitive. And you have to get involved in the game if you have a local business that wants to rank. So let's get started with some of the off-site SEO things you can do. So Google My Business, you may have heard of Google My Business. You may have a Google My Business site that you're using, Google My Business platform, but it's really your profile on Google. Google's your new business card. I mean, I don't know who coined that phrase, but it's so true because there's something called zero-click searches where somebody doesn't even click on your website because they search for your brand or they search for a keyword and they find your brand, and they might even just stumble upon your Google My Business page. So if you do a typical search, you'll see this to the right, or if you're on mobile, at the very top. But this is really a must for local business. I think it's becoming table stakes in local SEO. So if you're a local biz and you're trying to rank locally and you're not on Google My Business, you might as well be giving your business away to some of your competitors, because if you're trying to list your local business and you don't have a Google My Business account, you're kind of leaving money on the table. So that is why I've incorporated this as one of the most important elements and the first element that we're going to talk through. So Google My Business is the panel that shows up whenever you type in the name of your business, or somebody might stumble upon you in a brand search. It's the first impression with your customers. So I did a search here. This is for a cycle place here in, a bicycle shop here in the little burg of Fort Collins, Colorado, where I live. So this just shows you the kinds of things that are on a Google My Business profile. So if I'm looking on a laptop, this little box, which is called a knowledge panel, appears on the right. It has Google reviews, it has their address, it has things like questions and answers that you can incorporate in here. And there are a variety of ways to optimize this page. but it's your first impression with your customers. There's also posts. So I'll show you an example what a Google My Business post is a little bit later in the presentation, but it's a very important element, a very important ongoing tool that you can incorporate within Google My Business. So whenever I'm meeting with a business that is local and they're trying to market to local customers and they're not on Google My Business, that is the very first thing that we do. So we call this, as you saw earlier, this is called the local pack or the map pack. And currently there's only room for 3 businesses in here. Sometimes people will have local ads and you might see an ad in here. Depends on the type of industry you're in. So here are the search results. If I search for bike shop Fort Collins. Now, this differs from standard search because you have things like photos, you have reviews, you have the address, hours, things like that. So it's a very valuable piece of real estate that you can have on a search results page. But the thing is, this stuff, all this content is pulled from your Google My Business profile. So let's jump into the guide that I'm providing. So what I'm hoping to do is to have you, write a few notes as we roll through this presentation. And then at the end of the presentation, again, go to my guide and I'll send an email to you at the end, but you also have this resource. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through all of the things that you can do with Google My Business today or how to set up or how to optimize Google My Business book. I've written these 2 posts. One is how to set it up. So if you don't have Google My Business, read this first post. Let's set up Google My Business. If you have it and you're looking for ways to optimize it, to figure out how in the heck do I, what can I do? What can I do right now? And then what can I do as an ongoing strategy to make sure this counts? Go through these posts, and this details just about everything you need to know. And of course, if you have any questions along the way, go to McBreen Marketing. Just get in touch with me there. I'll give you the email, or you can just type in craig@mcbreenmarketing.com and get in touch with me. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. So that's Google My Business. And here's the final component of this. And this just shows you what a Google My Business post looks like and how it could be structured. So each Google My Business post, you can have, my mouse is just acting up. Sorry about that. I got one of these new fancy mice and it's just not cooperating. So each Google My Business post should have a unique image. And sometimes you can type in here. Oftentimes Google will be a little, more lately they've been a little more picky than they normally would be. So if you put an image in here, it's better to have not a stock photo. In this case, I did use a stock photo and hey, I got away with it. But it depends on the type of business you're in. Detailed copy with keywords. So what I do with Google My Business posts, they're not really going to help you rank that much. The Google My Business settings, when you initially set up, you put your info, your keywords, all of that, which will be included in the post that I sent to you. That helps you rank, but this really helps you bring in customers that find you or customers that are aware of you. So it's good to promote your business, promote any kind of specials you have going on. If you have services, promote those services. And here, this is what you would see within Google My Business. If you have products, you can list those. So this is just an example of what that might look like. And the types of keywords I'm using here are based on services, things like that. So that is a good way to look at it. Now, step 2 in the off-site strategies that you can use. This is about local citations. So you might be wondering, what in the world are local citations? Well, they're basically online directories that will list contact information about your business. And getting your business listed on some of these local directories, each city has a specific set of directories that would be ideal for that city. It's really, it doesn't have the weight it used to, but it's still a critical component in getting your business to rank locally. So something, if you have not done, you should do it. And the other thing is, some businesses have directories, like they're listed on a on a site like Angie's List and Yellow Pages, but they have a different address if they've moved or they have a different phone number. Excuse me. So it's good to get all that in line. So here's an example. This is a, excuse me, I have to take a sip of water here. This is a burger joint here in Fort Collins, Colorado, Big Al's Burgers and Dogs. So this is their Yelp profile. This on the right is their Google My Business profile. And I don't know why they have a picture of a hot dog, because everybody goes to Big Al's for their big burgers, and the Yellow Pages. So this just shows you 3 different citations. Google My Business is actually a citation or a local directory. So is Yelp. So is Yellow Pages. But the thing is, they have consistent name, address, phone number. And that's the most important thing to get right with these local directories. And the other thing is, they're important for other reasons too. So here I did another local search. This is for Plumbers Longmont. Longmont is a suburb of Colorado, suburb of Denver, Colorado. So plumbing is an incredibly competitive industry. And if you look at these results, you see, Roto-Rooter, obviously a big chain. We have one local plumber, but these 3 here, Yelp, Home Advisor, and Angie's List, all 3 of these are directories. So because of the ranking power that these directories have, they are going to hog the listings, especially if you're in a really competitive niche like plumbing or HVAC repair or a personal injury lawyer. These are all very competitive local SEO industries. So it gets you in front of people. It's not just important for SEO, but these are popular properties online. And if you're listed on them, that's going to be good for you. And it's one other thing that can help boost your organic rankings and your local pack or 3-pack rankings. Excuse me. And the other thing is, some of these directories actually link back to your website. So I mentioned at the beginning, having sites linked to your website is a ranking factor. It's a local ranking factor. So if you have even a few citations linking back to your site, hey, it's better than nothing. And it's something that a lot of businesses are not doing. So you might be asking, how in the world do I do this? Well, you can do this on your own. I have worked with clients that have done it on their own, which means you go to Yellow Pages and you try to get your business listed on Yellow Pages. You go to Angie's List, you try to get your business listed on Angie's List. So you go through a process. But there are companies out there that will do that for you. I've just listed the big ones here: Bright Local, Yext, Whitespark, Moz, and SignUp. Now, they all have different ways of doing business and getting you listed. And I primarily use this company here, Bright Local. Excuse me. They're in the UK, but the vast majority of their clients are in the United States. And you can actually go to Bright Local. You can pay for a monthly service, but you don't have to. You can actually go to Bright Local and do something which is called a citation burst. And you basically put all your information in, and you can actually incorporate your Google My Business profile. And what they'll do then is pull all the data, and they'll recommend the directories that you should be on in your city. And you can do something called a citation burst. So they do it all manually, which is good. It's the way I prefer it. Versus automatically populating them. And it takes a couple of weeks, but at the end, you're listed on all these directories and you have consistent listings. And if there are a few that have a different name, address, phone number, whatever, they'll correct those for you. So that's a really, really good service. And again, my local resources here, this is building local citations. That is on the index page that I mentioned. This is a post that I walk through. And of course, these are available on both of the links that I've included: the Guide to Local SEO and the post. So you can go to either or, but they will both take you to the right place. So number 3, the third step in offsite SEO. And this is the one that, well, for me, all of these are crucial. But if you're not doing reviews, you need to get on it right away, because reviews are good for, it's like your brand. Your brand is out there. It's your online image. And the more reviews you have, of course, the better off you will be. Reviews are also a ranking factor. It's roughly like, of all the ranking factors, I know roughly 14% is reviews. So the more reviews you have, the higher your business will rank. And I'm mainly thinking about Google My Business and Google reviews. So if someone discovers you through search, that's great SEO. Good reviews, well, that's what's going to convince them to hire you. That's better SEO. So we'll talk about branding and how branding and SEO are kind of like a match made in heaven, like peanut butter and jelly, or I'd say peanut butter and chocolate might be a little bit better, but branding and SEO do go together. And this is one aspect of that. So how do you get reviews? Well, first of all, decide what platform you're going to use. I always recommend Google because that is the one that counts the most. And we talked about Google My Business. If you ask people to give you reviews on Google My Business, that's the first step. Facebook, although Facebook now calls them recommendations, there's Yelp, there's a variety of others, and there's also industry-specific sites like Avo for lawyers, sites like that where you can get reviews. You could print business cards and just have links to your review site, or just send them out as reminders. This is a really effective one. Send a text message as a follow-up to a customer and just ask them how are we doing, and just have a link to your review site. The other thing is, whenever you do get reviews, you should respond to them. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Doesn't matter. This can boost your reputation and you avoid losing potential customers. Because what if there is a negative review out there and it's just hanging with nobody responding from your business? That is not good. But also the good reviews, I think it's a really good practice to get into responding to good reviews as well. So for example, if somebody leaves a review on Google My Business and they praise your business, and maybe they mention something specific about your business, like you're a CPA, you're a doggy daycare, whatever. When you're responding to them, use one or two keywords in the response, like mention your service, mention your product, but be natural, don't be robotic. Ask in person. This is probably the best thing you can possibly do. Do it on the phone, do it after a transaction, and then follow up with a request, maybe via email. And this is, I mentioned Bright Local earlier. They do a lot of studies. They're a really great company and they have a really prolific blog, and they're always doing a lot of research around this type of stuff. So they found that 70% of consumers will leave a review when they're asked to do so. So if they like your business and you ask them to leave a review, they will usually leave a review. Google also offers something for small business owners, basically a set of free marketing materials. So this is really good for brick and mortar businesses. And I'm thinking, of course, post-COVID, as things start to ease up and in the coming months, and hopefully things will get back to somewhat normal, this is something that you might consider. If you have a storefront, if you have a restaurant, you can actually get free stickers, posters, and all of this from Google, as you see from this little image on the right. So that's a good thing to balance that out and to incorporate within reviews. So here are my recommendations. Again, the posts and the links, the same as before, but I do have a specific post that goes through that. And again, you can email me if you have any questions. So that's offsite. That wasn't too painful, was it? So number one, Google My Business. That's the most important thing. If you have not done local citations, you should get on those right away as well. And you can use a service like Bright Local, which is relatively inexpensive, and they're a very responsive, good company to work with, but you can try any of the other ones like Moz as well. Set up reviews. At a minimum, if you have a Google My Business profile, get that link and send that out to people. And what I usually do is, or what I recommend to my clients is incorporate that in your marketing. So, for example, if you are a contractor, say at the beginning of the job when you first start working, we really would love you to leave a review, an honest review at the end of this. And then at the end of the job, again, repeat that and send them the link. That's a good practice to get into. And the one thing I wanted to mention here is, excuse me, but I have a little bit of a cough here. I'm drinking tea. I'm trying to contain it, but I have it's basically an email list. It's a email newsletter with a series of videos. And what I'm doing in the videos and an email newsletter is walking you through a step-by-step process, because I do meet with a lot of people, and I volunteer at the Small Business Development Center here in Northern Colorado, and a lot of people I meet with, they're completely overwhelmed by marketing. They're a 1-2 person shop. They're small. They don't know where to start. So this is really a resource for people like that need to reset their marketing, and they're completely overwhelmed. So it's an easy to consume series. It's all free. So if you want to sign up, you can just go down to McBreen Marketing, subscribe, and it's really just an automated newsletter that goes out. And if you're new to marketing, or if you want to improve your marketing and you don't have a lot of help, or if you plan to hire somebody and you want to know about it, or if you want to hire somebody, you want to know about it, this is a really good place to start, because this will give you the foundation you need to ask all the right questions to help guide the process. So please subscribe to that. Again, it's all free. So now let's get on to on-page SEO. And this is where off-page SEO is, there's a lot involved, but it's not as much as on-page. There's so much you can do on-page. And this is where you get the happy marriage of branding and SEO, and I'll explain that. So SEO and all sites should be designed with SEO in mind. And I do find with a lot of people that I talk with, they've hired a web developer or they've hired a marketing consultant, and they banged out a website, but all of the essential ingredients that are needed for good SEO are missing, or they've not done a really good job of implementing it. So think of SEO as the glue that holds all this stuff together: your code, your images, your copy, your ongoing copy like blogs. That is called fresh content. So SEO is kind of the glue that holds all this stuff together. So I'm going to walk through each step, but what I wanted to start with was writing local content. Now we'll talk about website structure and all that next, but I want to talk about writing local content because this is something that's really important. And it's kind of hard to wrap your head around if you haven't done it. And it's something that the vast majority of businesses do not do. My experience tells me that they don't, but there are very competitive industries where they might be doing a little more of this. So again, this is a local guide that I have, but here are some examples. Local news and events. If you're trying to rank locally, you can write about a variety of different things. But if you think about local news, local events, community parties, 5K races, community festivals, you can actually incorporate this into your blog, your ongoing content. You just need to do it creatively. Be unique. Don't be spammy. Don't just write a really simple post about a figure out a way that you can write it that fits the context of what your overall theme is in your blog and then what your business does as well. Write about local experts. So these posts are about businesses that provide services or sell products. They're kind of like yours, but they're not direct competitors. So you might even consider writing a resources guide. So if you're a therapist, you might include like chiropractors or other people that are kind of loosely related in some way, but they're not competitors. So if you feature them, you write about them, you say, hey, I featured you. Can you link back to the site? This does two things. Excuse me. You put a little local content into your local website. So that gives you more of a local flavor. It improves your SEO because it Google loves this. I mean, if you're incorporating naturally without spamming the heck out of it, you're putting natural language that talks about your location, your city. And then if these people that you're writing about link back to your site, that's good as well, because that's a link back to your site, which is a ranking factor. So you could create best of lists. So if you have a pet, you have a favorite dog park or something like that, you might consider writing a dog lover's guide to your city. You could write about your favorite restaurants, anything like that, anything you know and love. So these are just ideas, but they're things that do work really well. Write about local causes, associations, if you do volunteer work, if you support a community team, things like that. These are really, really quality things to write about, and they help you rank locally, and they're really, really good for SEO. And the final one, customer stories. And this is one I always use and I always recommend for clients. So if you have say if you're an architect and you have an extensive portfolio section, well, feature the customers, but don't just write a real simple case study. Put all the details about the case study, put location details about the case study, link back to that company, tell the company you're featuring them, write a blog post that points to the case study. So this is an example of how a customer story could become way more than just a simple portfolio piece. It becomes like a powerful marketing tool that you can use over and over again with new case studies. So I've written about this in the blog post, improve your local presence by writing local content. This is something that you can do in a variety of ways beyond what I'm describing here. There's just so many ways you can get very creative about it. So let's get into on-site basics, some of the things you can do. So first of all, I want to talk about above the fold. You might be wondering, what is he talking about? Well, way back in 2012, Google actually released something called the above the fold update. Now, this is really a way to get developers who were trying to game the system at the time from stuffing a lot of spammy crap at the top of a website. So what Google wants is they want natural copy, quality copy that appeals to the end user, not just a bunch of spammy keywords. So above the fold, which is an old newspaper term, meaning everything that was the most important headline of the day was above the fold of a newspaper. So the same applies to a website, whether you're viewing it on a laptop, a tablet, or mobile. This is incredibly important, because what this does is if you create really good messaging that says, this is what we do, this is why we're unique, and this is why you should hire us, that's good above the fold content. You have about 5 seconds, well, these days, probably a little less, to get someone's attention. So you want them to immediately know, this is what I do, this is what you need to do next. And if you have that good above the fold messaging, it's great for SEO. And this is how branding and SEO work together, because they'll stay on your site. If they lurk on your site, that is some debate whether or not that's a ranking factor or not. But that means they'll click to other pages. They'll click through. So you're doing good marketing, you're doing good branding, and you're doing good SEO. So your site might have, well, great SEO, but not so great copy. Or your copy is effective, but your SEO is kind of mediocre. So effective SEO attracts, but effective content converts. And these really, really go together. So what I always advise is think about a seamless content SEO balance is key, because they work together, and content is the most important thing when it comes to SEO. So when you plan your keyword strategy, think about the questions your customers would normally ask. Think about the products and/or services they'll be looking for. Don't use jargon, don't use industry phrases, don't use buzzwords. Simplify your language, talk to your customers. Talk about what they're looking for. So this is a really super basic schematic. And I use this because this is just a pretty good basic map to get started. This is a home page, and people are used to scrolling. It doesn't matter what device they're on, and I think they expect it these days. So I would even extend this homepage to add some additional blocks. But at the very top here, you can incorporate location copy without, again, spamming it. I mean, spamming the search engines and putting your location as much as you possibly can. You don't want to do that. This mouse is driving me crazy. All right, here we go. So location copy, and you can incorporate that throughout, and I'll explain other ways you can do that. Focused above the fold messaging. I just did this. This is a couples therapist. Specific call to action. Key description. So this is a service-based company. So for you, it could be products. But my general rule is if something is up here in the top nav, like you have home, services, about us, incorporate that in another way on your homepage. So basically another point of entry, another way they can get deeper in your site. That's good user experience. It's great for your branding. And guess what? It incorporates all of these keywords that Google loves, specific keywords without getting spammy. So my general rules are homepage, at least 250 words, preferably more. Your interior pages start at 350 and maybe go beyond. If you're doing blogs, 500 words minimum. I usually recommend more than that. And then there's also city pages, which I'll show you later, but this is if you're a service area business and you service a bunch of different locations. So, if you're in Seattle, that could be, we serve Bellevue, we serve Seattle, we serve Tacoma, a variety of other cities. That would be a good thing to do to incorporate. And I can show you examples of that. So this just gives you like customer reviews, blog, a detailed footer. The footer appears on every page. So you should put some time and effort into creating a good footer. But what I'm essentially explaining here is incorporate blocks on your homepage so you have additional content. This is an example of a cleaning company. And this is not a client of mine. This is actually a friend of mine. He does web design and SEO as well. And this is a recent example. This is a cleaning company in Maryland. And this just shows you an example of a quality homepage. So we talked about above the fold content. We talked about optimizing your homepage because your homepage is the most valuable page. Create a unique page for each product under service. And again, this shows you here, like each service, these cleaning services, they each have their own page, but guess what? They're also on the homepage and there's a little blurb and then there's a call to action, that'll link to that page. So what this does is it's great for users, but it's also incorporating specific keywords and it's also creating good link structure because it's linking back. It's like creating this index and it's linking back to those specific pages. That's what you call good page structure and good internal linking. If you have images, you should put alt tags on your images. And I've written about this. I won't go into detail today, but basically if you're in a platform, say for example, WordPress, if you're adding any images here, like on this example, each one of these images, like could be a JPEG or a GIF, should have a specific name that relates to the keyword. And then within that description, there's something called an alt tag, which actually is something that's used to rank. And you want to use specific language. Most people will take like a stock image with a really cryptic name and just drop it in their website. Or they'll say homepage image 1, homepage image 2. Well, don't waste that. Name those images and give them alt tags. Optimize your footer, we mentioned that. Embed a Google map on your website. This makes it easy for customers to locate you. It's a really good thing to do. And again, I mentioned location pages, which I'll show you. And then optimize your page titles and meta descriptions. So let's get into this. So what I did is, this is a brewery, restaurant here in Fort Collins, a very popular place, Cooper Smith's. And this is their homepage. And I just wanted to point out a few things on the homepage. Okay, I'm going to throw this mouse in the garbage. It's making me angry. The very top here, Cooper Smith's, an old town tradition is what the whole thing right? And then it has Fort Collins. So what this does here is it has the brand name, the name of the restaurant. It has the location in two different spots, Fort Collins specifically, but then Old Town within Fort Collins. And it's written naturally. And then it mentions what they are. They're a brew pub. So you can do this on the back end of your website. It doesn't matter if you're on WordPress, if you're on Squarespace, if you're on Weebly. There's an SEO section on those sites. And then within WordPress, you can get a plugin like Yoast. And you basically go in and change these. And this is where these appear. So when I did the search, the meta title, and then below this little thing in red is the meta description. This is something you do on the back end of your website, and this appears in search. So this is very important because this top actually counts. It's a ranking factor. So the more specific you are, and if you incorporate your location, this is local SEO, the better off you'll be. Below that, this is called a meta description. And this is not really a ranking factor, but this helps you get more clicks. So write something that sounds good, but it inspires action. It gives your clients the impetus to bust a move, to click on this, because if you don't do that, Google will just populate it with like the first paragraph and it'll cut it off. So you want to go through and do that. And again, you can do this on any platform fairly easily. And I wanted to highlight a few more things. I mentioned above the fold. I think this is good above the fold content. And then below, they've incorporated their location naturally, which works really well. So I want to show you how all this comes together. So what I did here is I did a brand search. I input the brand Coopersmith's into a search. And I just want to show you how a total online presence works. So the very first one, what we just discussed, this is the meta title, the meta description. You see it here, meta title, meta description. On the right, this is the knowledge panel. And this again is pulled from Coopersmith's Google My Business profile. So it has reviews, details, events, Q&As, things like that. Now, the directories I mentioned earlier, like Yelp, TripAdvisor. Of course, TripAdvisor is going to be huge for a place like this because in the summer, Colorado has a lot of tourists that are going to Rocky Mountain National Park, and this is kind of a stop on the way there. So they're on directories like TripAdvisor, which has incredible ranking power. TripAdvisor is a huge property. So does Yelp, so does Facebook. So again, this shows you how much power these directories have and why you should be on them. And then finally, this is the map pack or the 3-pack, and this shows you how they appear. They're restaurants, so of course they need reviews. They have, at the time, they have more now, 502 reviews. So this just kind of shows you how everything comes together and how important all the things we talk through are. So I talked about localization, and I think that's the most important thing here is, again, including your city and your region throughout the site. Do it in your meta titles, but incorporate that naturally throughout your content using some of the examples we gave. Partner pages. You could do like a case study, like I mentioned, things like that. These are really good examples. So for a business with several different locations, and I used this company before, you can do what is called city or location pages. So again, this is a cleaning company in Maryland. They're headquartered in Silver Spring, but they serve all of these different cities. So each city has a specific page that includes unique content about the business, unique content about the location. And this helps this business rank locally. Now, I advise this for service area businesses. If you're a brick and mortar, you have one location. I have done this for those types of businesses, but I just wouldn't overdo it. Say, for example, if you are a therapist or a life coach and you're in Denver, Colorado, you might say, while we're located in Denver, Colorado, we also serve Loveland. We also serve Fort Collins, or wherever that might be, because you might do online meetings, things like that. Or you could do it hyper local and just mention a few really specific suburbs around your city. And then, of course, local content is one of these strategies when it comes to on-site SEO. So here are my resources. So this talks through the basic on-page SEO, 7 tips that I'm giving, and then a strong page and above the fold content. There's a workbook, and this is on my resources page. And I will send all of these to you. Don't worry if you're not getting all of these links. I will send all of these to you. And again, this is being recorded. So if you feel like you have to watch it again, it will be available. So I want to talk about step 6. And this is on-page SEO, but it's really both on and off-page SEO, because you're writing something on your site in some cases, and you're getting people to link to your site. So citations, I mentioned that earlier, local directories, that's part of local link building, because again, some of them link back to your site. So that's powerful. You could partner up with other people. And this is in line with some of the things I mentioned earlier, where this could lead to local link building. I live in Fort Collins. This place is like Dogtown, USA. Tons of doggy daycares, pet groomers, dog trainers, etc. So if you're a dog walker, you could partner up with all of these businesses. You could even create a group of these businesses and offer referral discounts for customers you recommend each other. You create a partner page, you could write about each other. So this just gives you an example, a specific example, using something like a dog walker, and how that might work. But you could do this type of thing for any industry you're in. You could do a roundup post. Again, using the same example, a dog lover's guide to Fort Collins. Ask people that you feature, like say you do a dog lover's guide and you feature all these businesses. You just write this feature post, a roundup post, and then you call these people or you email them or whatever, and you say, hey, I'm doing this dog lover's guide. I'm getting some good traffic on this. You ought to check it out. You ought to link to it. This is a really powerful strategy. Write local content. So I showed you an example of a bike shop earlier. So that bike shop could write a blog series on trails. Fort Collins as a great biking city. European tours and blah, 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 and how that ranks back to Fort Collins. How does Fort Collins compare to these European cities? So you could just get creative. You could do a variety of different things. You could host an event. You could do local sponsorships. There's a variety of sponsorship opportunities you could do. And old school. Don't forget old school. Well, this is when we get back to normal, if that ever happens. But you could host an event. You could do a workshop. You could do a local workshop. You could just get involved in the community. But just getting out there and talking to people, this is just a natural link building, because the more people are aware of you, the more people are aware of your brand, they might share your content. They might share your content on social media even. So there's all of these different ways and benefits of doing that. You could reach out to local bloggers. That's another thing you could do. And then you could, again, create local event pages. So again, same links, 10 tips to build your business with authentic local link building. Just another resource that you can go through this. And even if you just have an initial idea, or maybe you want to map out your marketing for the year, you could look through these strategies and say, hey, maybe we pick one and we try it and we see how well that works. It really depends on your type of business. So when it comes to your website, here are the keys. Think about who your ideal customers are, because everything is about them. And I talked about branding and how important branding is and how branding fits into SEO. And that's where this comes in, the above the fold message. Make a clear, focused message that appeals to these people, tells them why they should choose you. This is all great for branding, but it's also really good for SEO. And the other thing I did want to mention, we're talking about SEO primarily here, but think about conversions. Think about getting people to buy your services, to to buy your products. And SEO is going to help you map out a plan that's going to help you with things like email marketing, content marketing, which essentially could be blogging, it could be video, could be PDF ebooks, could be a variety of things, social media. All of these marketing tactics, tools, strategies, they can benefit from laying the foundation and setting a really good SEO plan or putting an SEO plan in motion. Think about the type of content they're searching for. Think about your customer at a keyboard, typing a search into Google. What are they searching for? That's a good first step if you're starting to create content. Think about the keywords they're going to use to find someone like you. Basic stuff, but again, depending on your industry, a lot of your competitors might not even be doing this. So let's go through the summary of each one of these. So for off-page, claim and optimize your Google My Business listing, build those citations, manage your reviews and ratings, and review all three often. What I like to do is if you open Google My Business, there is something in there called insights, which you can go in and you can see how many people are visiting, what terms they're using to find you on Google My Business. Real simple things like that. So at a basic level, just go in and just look at the data that's available to you. On page. Website optimization, really, it's about making your website as SEO friendly as possible. You do that with content, you do that with meta titles, things like that. Put all of your initial effort into creating a really, really strong homepage. If you're working with a web developer or a marketing consultant, make sure that SEO is part of the plan. And if you go through this and you're thinking about hiring somebody, hopefully it gives you the right, like a base to get the right questions and ask them the proper questions to make sure that they do something like this. Optimize your interior pages. If you're a local business, think about website localization. Localize your pages using all of the strategies that we discussed and work to get quality, relevant backlinks. Now there's a lot of black hat tactics out there, which is kind of unscrupulous SEO activity. But Google is getting better at weeding out the stuff, the bad guys. Just do things naturally and follow these plans. And I think you're going to be pretty well off. Ongoing content, again, one of the most important things you can do. Most people think blogging is dead. No, it's not dead. Most people think video is too hard. Well, you can do fairly basic video. You can write PDF ebooks, white papers. All of these things are ongoing content that can feed your marketing machine. Great for your customers, really good for SEO. So that's it. I wanted to just let you know that I always offer, I do a website review, and it's on this page. It's under my services website review. If you ever want to do that, it's a $199 service. I could probably charge a lot more because usually it takes more time than I think, but I do have it fairly systematized, so it doesn't take a tremendous amount of time. But what I do is, if you decide you want to do that, you would go here and just click on sign me up, and it shoots me an email. And then I would send you a form. I would get that form data back, and then we'd start the review and we'd schedule a time to go over your website so I can make recommendations. So I just wanted to let you know that this is a service that I offer. And if you're interested, just go to that page and click on the form. And the one final thing I wanted to do was, I mentioned reviews. So if you like this presentation, if it was valuable, if you have time, you can leave a review. This first link here is my Google My Business page, McBreen Marketing Google My Business. You could leave a review here. And sorry about that. The second one is a local directory that I'm on called UpCity. So if you can leave a review on both, that's great. If not, please don't worry about it. If you, for whatever reason, don't think this was a good presentation, I ask that you please email me first because I would love to know what I can do to improve any future webinars and workshops. I do in-person workshops as well. So that's it. If you have any questions, shoot me a chat. I will need to jump off here in a few minutes. And again, if you don't get your question answered, again, just email me and I'd be happy, or go to McBreen Marketing, fill out a form. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay, somebody, Lisa mentioned something about GoDaddy. I don't want to trash any company, but there are a lot of really, really quality web hosts out there. So if you're on WordPress, or if you're considering WordPress, but it's the most used platform in the world for websites, the two hosts that I normally recommend, WP Engine and SiteGround. I don't get any money or anything from them. I just think they're really great companies. My site is on SiteGround, but they're quality WordPress hosts, and there's a lot of benefits that come with picking a host like that: site speed, customer service, a variety of other things. So I don't want to trash any particular company, but I do think those right now are my two favorite companies when it comes to hosting your website. Yeah, somebody asked about non-location local service. Yeah, so Rosa asked, any advice for a non-location local service, meaning not a brick and mortar business? Can you have a Google My Business without a physical location? Rosa, yes, you can. If you go to that post that I highlighted, and I'll send to you, when you open your Google My Business profile, you have an option in there to hide your address. And oftentimes there'll be people that have a consulting business that their home is kind of like their brick and mortar business, but they choose to hide it because it's their home and they do not want people to know where they live. But you can put it there if you work out of your home. But again, yeah, if you create a Google My Business profile, you can definitely hide your address. And I think the power comes in with that platform. The power comes from utilizing things like posts and doing consistent posting. I also mentioned Q&A. You can go in there and type in your own, like a lot of people will ask questions on Google My Business, and a movie theater got in trouble one time because they weren't paying attention to their Google My Business profile. And all these smart Alex went in there and they typed in the most ridiculous questions and then even stupider answers. So it looked really bad for the movie theater. This was years ago. So you can go in on your very, I don't know, you can actually type in a question and then type in an answer. And I've done that for other clients. So there are a variety of different strategies, and I mentioned those in my blog post. And you're welcome for that. So, but again, the other thing is all of the on-site stuff that we walk through, all of the website steps. Again, these things actually help your local pack. It's not just Google My Business. So the more SEO power you have in your website, the better you're going to rank overall, including that local pack. So I think those are all the questions. We're at the top of the hour. You're very welcome, Larry. And thank you all for coming. I really, really appreciate it. And again, if you have any other questions, just let me know. And that's it. Thank you so much and have a great rest of the day. Goodbye.